Hiya, my name's Charlie and welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing my June wrap up, so all the books that I read in June. Can you believe that we're in July already? It's mad. I just wanted to say a big quick thank you to everyone. I've had quite a little, we've had a little jump in subscribers recently, and I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that's come along and said hi or written something in the comments. So all of you guys, thank you very much. I'm going to dive right into the wrap up. So this month I partook in 2 readathons. I did Caribathon and for 24 hours, which was hosted by the lovely Peter from Comfy Cozy Up and Karen from Run Right Reads. That was like a week long, only 10 days readathon, which was brilliant. I really enjoyed participating in that. So yeah, the other readathon I took part in was Queer Blackathon, which was hosted by Jessie, Ashley and Erica, all of which I will link in the description below. It was a 48-hour readathon, so yeah, that was fun as well. So I'll go on to the books. So the books that I read this month, I'm going to do it in order like of least enjoyed to most enjoyed. So yeah, I've got 2 DNFs, which I don't know whether, do you guys want me to mention DNFs? If you don't like it, let me know and I won't mention them in the future. But yeah, as some of them were on my TBRs, which I think this is the reason I'm mentioning them. So I read I DNF'd The Girl with the Hazel Eyes by Callie Brown. This is about a character called Susan Taylor, has written, a novelist, and another character called Lydia, who she employs to write her biography. And I don't know what point, I think I was like nearly halfway, I don't know, but I think I just I feel like it just didn't grip me for whatever reason or another, and I felt like I'd had a similar storyline. I've read books with similar storylines before, and maybe this is the case that where my head was at, and so I might need to give this another try in the future. But at this point, it just wasn't for me. So yeah, I DNF'd it, sadly. And another book I DNF'd, which I talked about in a video with Charlie recently in the mid-year freakout tag, which I'll put in the link in the description below. We had loads of fun filming that video. If you haven't seen it, please go and check it out. But yeah, this was my biggest disappointment for the year, Only on the Weekends by Dean Atta. Dean Atta wrote arguably one of my favourite books, Black Flamingo, and so when I had quite high expectations going into this, and this is a story told about 2 teenagers, 15-year-old Mac and also Karim, predominantly, and Mac has this huge crush on Karim, and it's kind of it's like an unrequited, their feelings aren't unrequited, but it's definitely slightly more one-sided, and which then leads Mac on to finding romance potentially elsewhere. But yeah, I DNF'd this halfway through, and yeah, it just really let me down really badly. I'm really sorry to say this, but the characters didn't feel really strong to me. The plot wasn't paced quick enough, and I just felt bored. I felt really bored, and I feel like it's almost at the level where it felt like, I said, it almost felt like a different person had written this. It felt very different from Black Flamingo. I'm not even going to give it any more than that, but I'm really gutted that I felt like this. But have you guys read this? Let me know. Did you get along with this? If you loved it, let me know and tell me why. So I DNF'd it about the halfway mark. It's a novel told in verse, and like, yeah, maybe I should have ploughed on, but no, it was not meant to be, not for me. So I completed 9 books in total this month, which isn't a terrible number. I'm quite happy with that. The first one I've got on here is Expectation by Anna Hope. I know loads of you guys love this. This is a story following 3 friends called, I can't even remember the names, Hannah, Kate and Lissa, and we basically non-chronologically follow them, how they sort of their friendship when they were younger, and how they sort of their expectations of how they think their futures should have been, and sort of it's content warning, sorry, for this book is miscarriage, infidelity, death of a parent, cancer and infidelity. Yeah, this book I was a bit disappointed by that, to be honest. It might this is a contemporary book, so maybe that's the reason. I don't read a lot of contemporaries, as you will see from this stack. Yeah, I felt a little bit bored. I did persist with this book. The best thing about this book is that the author, Anna Hope, starred in Doctor Who as the character Novice Hayne. So that is the best thing. I found that out after. So it is my favourite thing about this book, but that doesn't really say a whole lot because yeah. So yeah, not one for me. I'm sure other people, I would still recommend it. I'm sure there are lots of people out here that would enjoy this, but yeah, I'm going to be passing that one on, I think. The next one I did enjoy. I liked other ones slightly more. This is the group pick, Pleasantview by Celeste Mohammed. This is one I think I'm going to try and reread because I'm not always the best with short stories. I think it either goes two ways with short story collections because these are interconnecting short stories, so we follow people across a group of people across the island. So content warnings for miscarriage, mental illness, misogyny, gun violence, homophobia, and sexual assault. This is quite hard hitting, but yeah, the writing is gorgeous, and we follow the residents of Pleasantview basically. My favourite one in this was the one with the turtle. If you guys read it, you'll know. So yeah, it just wasn't my favourite. And like I said, I do want to reread it, so I think I'll get more out of this on a second read. Also, with this book, I want to go back and watch the live discussion that they did on it. So yeah, I think that will help as well in terms of this. So yeah, I do want to reread this. It's not a bad book. It's just it wasn't my favourite. That's why it's there on my list. Still got the bookmark in this one. Persuasion. I listened to this on audio. And this was narrated by Florence Pugh. It's Jane Austen. It's romance. We follow Anne Elliot, who is a character, an older character, who has let love fall by and has regrets of when she was betrothed to Captain Wentworth. I think that's right. She was betrothed to Captain Wentworth, and she was persuaded by a friend to sort of break off that engagement. And it's the regret she has, and will she then manage to get back together with him? So yeah, this was enjoyable. This was quite fun. It's not my favourite Austen, and there were times in it which I felt a little bit confused because partly maybe because I was listening to the audiobook. So if I lost concentration for a minute, I felt like I'd lost my way. But I definitely enjoyed this more than I did the first time when I read it many a few years ago. So yeah, this was good. It was a fun read, and I enjoyed the book club discussion with Lauren in the Books' Patreon discussion. That was really fun, obviously, as always. Right, the next one on my list I've got Assembly, which a library copy. This is by Natasha Brown, and this was one of my booktubers' favourite books picks, and it was from Bob the Booker's favourite book of Bob the Booker's favourite books last year. I'm getting comfy. We follow a character who goes to a garden party, and she's the only black person there. So obviously the dynamics of that. And so I really enjoyed this book. I think it's quite difficult to describe, being honest. Maybe that's just me because I'm Charlie. But it was definitely a worthwhile read, and I feel like it was expertly done. Yeah, and it's another one I feel like I will get more out of upon a second read. Yeah, there was the content warnings on this one for racism, cancer, and suicidal thoughts. So yeah, it's a good book. It's a short book. It's a snippety book, but it sort of raced by, and I was just, yeah, I need to get back on it again, maybe. Right. Next on my list, I have got When We Were Birds by Ayanna Lloyd Banwo. This book, we follow two characters. This is meant to be is classed as a romance book, and we follow two characters, literary romance. And we follow two characters. Content warnings for death, grief, and death of a parent. I think there might be a few other ones as well, but those are the main ones. And yeah, this we follow two characters, Darwin and Yedidi. Darwin is a gravedigger, and Yedidi has inherited a sort of power to sort of speak to dead people. I thought this, like, because obviously it's sold more as a romance, and obviously as you can see from the cover, you've got the two characters, but they don't meet till quite a chunky, like properly meet, and it doesn't like get going in that way till like quite a chunk of the way in, because obviously you're building their characters, which if I would have known that going in, maybe my expectations would have been slightly different. I did really enjoy this, and the writing is gorgeous, and I definitely would check out more of this author's work. But yeah, I thought that the romance would kick off a lot earlier than it did. So I think that's why it would have been higher up my list otherwise, potentially. Right, so the next one I've got is a graphic novel, The Witch Boy by Molly Ostertag. This is a graphic novel, The Witch Boy by Molly Ostertag. In this world, in this book, there's witches, and the women are witches and boys are shapeshifters, and we follow Asta. Asta can't get on with doing shape-shifting, and he finds that a natural talent for like casting spells and stuff, and so yeah, we follow his experience of that. I think someone goes missing in the village, children are going missing, and he basically helps solve the mystery of why, and it's just gorgeous, it's colourful, it's gorgeous, I don't want to get to a spoiler page, but yeah, it's really, really good, and I want to read more of Molly Knox's Ostertag's books, and I think there's a few more in the series, and there's queer characters in this as well, there's a character that has two dads in this, and it's really, really good, it's really cute, and I recommend it, highly recommend it. So the next one on my list is The Lonely Londoners by Selvon. I loved this book. It's very, very short. It's basically to do, it's set in London in the 1950s, and we follow some characters. It's the immigrant experience, kind of the Windrush, the story of like characters, like the Windrush kind of characters, where they've come over from the Caribbean expecting it to be a certain way and life to be a certain way, and obviously the harsh realities of, in fact, what it was like for them. The characters in this are just, even though the book is really short, the characters are just so well done, and there were parts that it made me smile, parts that obviously was a lot bleaker and harder, but yeah, this is a beautiful book, and I feel like it's kind of like, why is not many people talking about this book? I highly, highly, highly recommend The Lonely Londoners. You have to go check it out, yeah, 100%. So yeah. I want to try and see what other works Selvon has written, which I'm sure they must have done. Right, the penultimate book on my wrap up is one of my favourites is a poetry collection by Gwen Benaway, who is a trans Indigenous woman, and this is called Holy Wild. And this book, poetry collection, covers so much. There are lots and lots of themes in this. The trigger warnings for transphobia, rape, sexual violence, animal death, bullying, and child abuse. And it's just utterly, utterly gorgeous. And it's another one I feel like BookTube is sleeping on. Like on the back, I'm not very good at describing poetry collections, so I'll read you some of what it says on the back. She examines the intersections of Indigenous and trans experience through autobiographical poems and continues to speak the legacy of abuse, violence and colonial erasure that defines Canada. Her sparse lines interwoven with English, she's an Ojibwe poet, illustrates the wonder and power of Indigenous trans womanhood in motion. Holy Wild is not an easy book, as Benaway refuses to give any simple answers, but it's profoundly vibrant and a beautiful work filled with transcendent grace. This is gorgeous. Like, there's one in here that I mentioned in my recent Stand with Trans Kids book tag, and it's the one called Dysphoria, and it's just gorgeous. This whole collection is gorgeous, and more people need to be reading this. So yeah, highly recommend this. It's like 5 stars. This will be one of my favourites of the year for sure. And my actual favourite of the month will be no surprise to any of you guys, really, because it's by one of my favourite authors, Awkaeke Emezi. You made a fool of death with your beauty. In this we follow Faye, who has previously, I'm going to put the book down, who has previously lost her partner 5 years ago, and the trauma that comes with that. She goes to a rooftop party and has her first sexual experience, like I said, in 5 years since the crash, and it sort of, I don't know, sort of like awakens that need in her, sort of, and like knowing that she wants that closeness, I guess, but then also she's got the push me pull you of the grief and the guilt, and it's just gorgeous because it goes on from there where she there's another character that I don't want to give any spoilers, but yeah, it just, the way this talks about grief and trauma and how it's so intertwined and the effects of that, and then also how isolating that can be, obviously. It's just beautiful. It is a romance, supposed a romance, but it's cast as a romance, but it's obviously, it's Emezi, so it's so much more. It's brilliant. It's like utterly gorgeous, and it's very sexy, which I enjoyed. But yeah, this is gorgeous. Highly recommend. My favourite book of the month. Let you guys know what your favourite book of the month was. What books you enjoyed reading, what books you didn't enjoy reading. Let me know in the comments below. Yeah, sending you guys lots of love. Goodbye.